video editing. And then cool. We 100% live now, man.
Oh, we live. What's going on?
We live. All right. So, Rudy, introduce yourself, like your background. Why did you get into IT? Period. Like why did you get into it? And what were you doing before?
Before what first introduced me to it was actually scripting and MIRC little MP3 servers. I don't know. Have you ever ran into that? Like back in the day, there were IRCs and like
No.
MIRC. Do you remember any of that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
No.
so that's when I was like first introduced into scripting, and I was like, oh dude, I totally like you type something in chat and then their little script comes up saying which MP3 do you want to download or what do you want to trade if you want to communicate. And so right then and there, I was like, that was pretty awesome. Like the whole scripting thing. Then I got into a little bit of hobby hacking. That was like like 7th or 8th grade when I was still on dial-up on Earthlink. Like when it was all that crazy noise when you
Yeah.
yeah. So when it came to that, that's when I started doing it. But I stopped it completely because I wiped out my Windows and all my games and information trying to install a Linux. And so I got out of it. I was like, nope, I'm gonna be a skateboarder, I'm gonna play music. Then I needed a career. I was like, all right, what's the career? I started looking. Okay. Then I saw IT. So I was working at Starbucks for around, at that time it was like 5 years. I worked at Starbucks for total of like 7 years in my 20s. And at around 5 years, I was like, I can't be in the food industry anymore. I can't do this no more. So I was like, let me see, what do I like and what can I turn into a career? And so I was like, I used to like a little bit of hobby hacking. It was like, what was this program called? Sub 7. And it was a little Trojan program that me and my friend played with so that we could mess with each other's computers. And I was like, you know what? Let me look at it. And then so I bought CompTIA Network Plus, and I was like, I'll just start with a
Well,
cert.
hold on, real quick. 1 second.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure that people can hear you.
Yeah.
It was the first time. That's why I was like, I'm gonna hold off because I was gonna do a whole meeting with people, like 4 people coming at the same time. I was like, I don't want to have 4 people and have it not work.
Wait, can you hear me all right, or do
No,
I gotta?
I can hear you. I want to make sure that the stream is working.
Oh, okay. Like
Are
you
you?
jumped into the stream to check it out.
Yeah. Are you in front of a computer right now?
Yes.
Can you check the stream out? I want to make sure you can hear yourself.
How do I check this out? Let me see.
The
Oh, that website you gave me?
Yeah, it will be no, actually, hold on. Let me pop this open real quick. I'm
Let me
gonna
see.
send it to you right now.
There's gotta be a link to our
No,
stream.
it is. It is. I have
Where
it.
is it? Let me see. Don't I have it? Should be. I haven't messed with the Zoom program, man. But I figured there
Oh,
should be.
are you in Zoom? Okay, I'm gonna set it to you so it's easier.
Yeah, I'm in Zoom. There has to be a way. There has to be a link.
Twitch.
Gotta be a feature.
.tv/.
Oh, there's chat. Okay, we got a chat here. Yeah, just link it in the chat. Oh, yo. There it is. Bro, now's the perfect time for Twitch. Now's the perfect time for Twitch.
Well, oh yeah, man.
Everyone's at home checking it out. Time for Twitch. Hey, there we go. All right, cool. I see it.
Yeah, you can hear it. You can hear it. I think you can hear it, but double check.
Yeah, I came out clear.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Hello.
Yeah, you're good. No, man, look, and the that sounds ridiculous, and I'm like, it's check, but it's because there's other people like Network Chuck and all that. They always mess up their audio, and I'm like, dude, like I want to find out right now before I practice something and it's not good. But okay,
Yeah,
cool.
before we bring everyone in.
Yeah. Well, I wanted you and Sean, right? I wanted you and Sean to be in this, but I don't want to do it until I practice one person at a time, and then okay, great, it works. So let me just add more people. Okay, great. So cool. So you were at scripting, and you were testing out with your friends, and then you were setting up a Trojan, and so uh, that's where you kind of left off. Now, with
Mhm.
that Trojan, were you? This was how did you even touch a computer? Like for me, I had to. The way I started getting into computers, period,
Huh.
was um, I think I was trying to set up Wi-Fi, and then my mom, I think I don't know why I was a kid. I don't know why I wanted a computer, but I really wanted a computer. I don't know if it's because I think I took a typing class in elementary school, and I was
Uh-huh.
really good at typing. I remember because I sucked in school. Right, for me, I was always insecure about school because nothing came natural for me. Like I didn't know how to learn. I didn't know how my body or my mind. I don't want to say my body, but my mind was able to comprehend stuff. So I could never understand how a proper way for my mind to gather information and store it.
Mhm.
So I always sucked. I always suffered in that, and I guess no one else around me knew how to teach me how I learned.
Mhm.
So, but keep like typing on a keyboard and interfacing with a computer, like clicked. Everything just it was the first thing that for me I was able to type and actually was good at it. And I look forward every time going into like once or however long it was. I only remember like one or twice that were in there in the lab in the computer lab, and it was just one little small room. And in the elementary school was like hubs, like containers. They weren't even buildings, right? So
Okay, yeah, like portables. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so it was just like a smaller room, right? And so we'll go in there and we'll only level to touch, we'll only do certain things and then leave. And I was super excited about it. I think that's why I wanted a computer. But when I finally got my computer, I know what to do with it. So, and I was the only child. Like I lived far from my friends because my mom, she like this. She didn't want me to go to the school district that I lived in because we kind of
Mhm.
lived in a questionable part of the like area. So she wanted me to go somewhere else, which was another questionable area, but it was better schooling.
Got it. The school
And
was
then
better.
yeah, so in comparison, it was still garbage. But but so I didn't have any friends, like real close friends, so I was kind of isolated. And then I remember I wanted to get like Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi was a thing back then. Like we couldn't, like there was no Wi-Fi, and then they came out with Wi-Fi. And so my mom bought this Wi-Fi thing, and then we didn't know how to set it up, and we kept calling like the internet people. And I'm like, yeah, stop calling them. I figure it out. And I figured it out, and that's kind of how I got introduced. Now, tell me, how did you get to how'd you get to scripting? Like, did it come that natural to you? Were you starting to like, was that thing how my keyboard was, where you just started breaking it apart and just, oh, that worked and that's it? Started clicking?
No, when it came to like my first things of technology that really got me like the first time I saw like a chip like a motherboard was when I would play in the arcade in the 90s and the guy would open it up and then he would do
Oh,
some
shit.
stuff to it and give me all the credits and stuff like that, you know, if it's still
Oh, that's
recorded. But I
cool.
also saw them fixing it. And I was like, oh my God, that looks awesome. And I also wanted to own an arcade and be an arcade mechanic, like straight up old school arcade
And
from
how
the
old were you
90s.
at this point?
I was born 86. So that was me preteen. That was just like
So
first
it's like
time me seeing
12, 10, around there?
yeah, yeah, yeah. 10, 12, 8, 9, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I just remember always every single mall back in the day had an arcade attached to it.
Yeah.
And every time they opened it up, or anytime I saw a cabinet that was open and they were working on a video game electronically, or I saw them programming something trying to fix it, I just thought that was awesome because
Mm.
I was always interested in video games, but I also wanted to create them also. So I was like,
So that
yeah,
sparked your interest was games.
yeah, exactly. From
Okay.
games, when as soon as I saw that guy open it up and I saw those little lights and little transistors and the green board and all that, and I saw him messing with another one that was like completely broken and this one that he was just fixing up. And I talked to him and he's like, yeah, it's great. This is a he was just telling me how fun it is to own his arcade shop and like fix it and like how it's booming because it was booming back then.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. So then I saw it and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to fix these things. And that's I wanted to do more hardware. Like I didn't know about any of softwares, firmware, stuff like that. I just knew like I wanted to repair these arcade games also, and like
Mm.
keep them going. So I think that's the first thing I can remember with technology. But I don't know about your parents, but with my parents also, they're Latino parents that are old school that have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with technology. So
Yeah.
it was pulling hairs, pulling teeth just to get a modem, just to get internet, just
Yeah.
to get AOL, just to get anything, just to be like, hey, this sort of technology, this is gonna help me. Like, this will speed up. No, they were just like, that's all junk. That's all like playtime. Like a
Yeah.
computer was just not for learning. It was just like another console they felt like they just bought me, like another
Yeah.
Nintendo. Whew.
And so,
So,
okay, so what did your parents do? Like, what were they doing? Just give me like a brief background at that time. Like, what were they employed in?
just warehouse and employed in a casino.
Oh,
That's it. I
okay.
think housekeeping, mom's
See,
housekeeping, dad's a
see,
warehouse.
okay, see, that's perfect. Now, my mom, she was actually encouraging computers. Because her background was I think she was in Social Security. She would work with computers often. So even
Oh, really?
yeah, she was. I'm younger than you. Remember that. Keep that in mind. So
Mm.
when I was, because it's important, right? Generations, it matters, because my mom, she was. I remember her computer screen was like, and it's similar to what I worked at in Lowe's, but it was like a simple like Windows DOS, like those terminals.
Yes.
Use your keyboard, like tick 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 tick, like just arrows. Not like and then you type into a field. It wasn't like it. Her screen was all of that. So she actually worked with computers on a daily basis. So when my first computer, her friend was like built computers. Like he knew about them on a side gig, and he built a
That's
computer
awesome.
for my mom, for me. Like my mom was like, oh, there, and then it came in like this old big box and whatever. So and so like I got, that was my like the, I don't know if that was my first computer, or I don't even remember. Like I think I had a computer before that, and then because she wanted me to buy, she wanted to buy it from that particular guy because it was like her friend at work or whatever.
Mm.
But yeah, like my mom actually encouraged it because of the fact that she was always encountering computers, so she didn't see it as a game console. And I never
Oh,
played
that's
any
awesome.
games from it. Like I never played. What did I play? I played ping pong. Remember playing ping
A little bit
pong.
of
I'm like,
Minesweeper.
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah, man.
little ski game where the bear chases you.
Yeah,
Man,
so
that game's so good.
that's what I did. But other than that, like there weren't a lot of games that I didn't get into, like like any type of World of Warcraft or any type of computer game stuff. I never got into stuff like that. But that's interesting. So your parents were like, no, that's a game console. You're not getting that. So you ended up getting it. You convinced them, right?
Yeah, yeah, because
Okay.
it's like I was just convincing them we need a computer, we have emails, we can communicate, stuff like that. Like they weren't on board. They just thought it was another gaming console and that whatever you did was computer was just more like free time. Like they didn't conceptualize me programming. Even when I was being productive on the computer, they were just like, this is his entertainment time. Like
Yeah.
they kind of perceive that they're just super old school. And
Hmm.
so when it came to that, that was a little bit of a struggle, like trying to get any kind of progress in, okay, listen, this computer doesn't work anymore. It's like, what's wrong with it? Or this, like, and I'd explain it to them, but they just, they kind of brush it off. So it
Hmm.
was kind of like more difficulty when it came to them, just because they didn't understand how the importance and the future of computers and how it's literally going to be running everything.
Yeah. So, and at that time, you didn't even know either, right? I mean, to be
No,
honest,
no, no. There was no
to be honest,
portal.
there, Rudy, you know what I mean?
There was no portal. There's no such thing as a portal. There was no such thing as like going into a school portal, work portal, something like
Yeah.
that. It was just straight up,
Because to be fair for them, back right now it's easy to say that because the results already there. But back then for them, it
yeah,
wasn't. You know what I mean? Like for them, it was like it's totally. People thought that internet was all a fad, right? Way back when,
exactly. Like
you
they thought,
know.
yeah,
So
they know
so
email.
so for them on their side, they're looking at it as a look. There's not a lot of means to it yet. He's right now like there's only certain things you can do with it. even though they don't know you were programming a Trojan. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
yeah, they didn't know. They didn't know, like,
yeah,
the script. I didn't know that I was those were valuable things to learn. And when it comes to programming script, I just kind of explored around and just messing around. But they were just, and I don't blame them at all, just
yeah,
because they didn't see what could come with the computers, and they don't come from a generation of computers at
yeah.
all. Like the entire world worked for them without computers.
Hmm.
You
So
know,
like,
so
why does my son need just do math? You know, go to school.
yeah,
Just pay
exactly.
attention. Yeah. So okay, so fast forward now. You're building a Trojan with buddies, right? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, this was around 7th and 8th grade,
Oh
and
no
it was
shit.
we were just more modifying one because we found one. It's called Sub 7,
Mm.
and it was fun. It like it would flip your screen upside down. It would print out something.
Mm.
Nobody really had webcams back then, so it's not like turning on webcams or anything. You would mess with their printer, print something out, flip their like keyboard buttons and stuff. So we would mess with each other. But I remember at that point, I didn't know what a port was. And I was like, how do I find a port? And that was my real first networking problem. I was
Experience.
like, what is a port? There's no Google. I had to go on MIRC or IRC channels,
Oh no
networking
shit.
ones, and just straight
Okay.
up ask people like, what is it? Like, how do I find it? What is it? And they're basically explaining to me those are doors, and that's how they communicate. Think of a tunnel, and that's
Mm.
where it needs to find
Tunnel's a good example of it. A tunnel is a good one because
exactly. And then once I
it
got it,
goes
I was
back
like,
and forth. Once you use that tunnel, and then you can name it, 20 tunnel 20
yeah.
goes, and then that's an established communication. That's a good way to describe it. That's good.
And when it came with that, yeah, and they were like certain traffic, like pretend trucks go through this tunnel, cars go through this tunnel, blah blah
Mm,
blah. So they were
yeah.
like internet this, blah 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 that. So I was like, cool. So we ended up setting up. I told him, I gave him some commands, and I was like, yeah, let me check what port you have. I guess put it in, and it actually worked. I was listening computer, and it was like the most amazing feeling. And he's like, oh my god, bro, you're in my computer. We're on the phone. We're just like, yeah, this is crazy. Do mine, do mine. Here, hold
do
up.
my do
He
my.
shut it down, turned it on, did
Oh
everything. And
man,
it was just
so
like
yeah,
that part really got me into like the whole cybersecurity and like hacking. I'm like, this is incredible. Like this is wow. And
yeah.
so I was like, yeah. So from there, but then that's after a little bit after that, I tried to go a little bit further and install Linux and install like this is where the real hackers go. And I tried to do a dual boot, like a grub menu
Mm.
with a dual boot with Windows and 10 on. Nope, wiped everything out. Then my cousin,
No,
that
you're
was horrible.
not. No, you're
And that's
not.
yeah, that's an eighth grader, and I'm just like, oh no, and I didn't know how to get it back. So I talked to my cousin Gabe. He's smart, and he always messed with computers, and that's when I started talking to him more about that. And I was like, yo, I wiped everything. He digitally forensically, he just got a program, one of those digital forensic programs to get everything that was deleted back, and
He
he
got
did.
it back? No way.
Yeah, because it wasn't like a full like shred. Like, I didn't put everything in zeros and ones. I just did a delete, and it was
Oh,
just like a above the layer format. So it wasn't like
okay.
it
So you
wasn't
didn't
super.
completely format the hard drive then when
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
doing
It would
this.
just kept. I didn't know what I was really doing. To this
Ah,
day,
see,
I'm like,
okay, that's
I don't
actually a
know if
good
I
thing
actually.
because I'm in my head. I'm like, I cannot get like I want to know how we got it back because I'm like I would reformat the hard drive, reload everything, but you're saying you kind of like were fidgeting around, so you kind of
Exactly.
and
I
it
thought I
stopped
went that
working.
far. Yeah, I never actually got the Linux working, so I don't know how
Yeah.
far I got with it. All I know is Windows didn't come back and everything was gone.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, man, then he actually got it back. He's like, yeah, you wiped it, but it wasn't like a full on because there's a shred wipe where it's like it'll put it like D-band. You know what I'm saying? Like Dave's what is
Hmm.
it? Ban and nuke or something like that. D-band, like like the program where you actually wipe things over and over again, zeros and ones, so you really can't recover anything. So
Yeah.
I don't think I did it to that extent, whatever. But when he got it back, that blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, he actually got everything back. All my games, all my pictures, all that. I was like,
Hmm.
that was awesome. So that got me a little bit more into it. But I was also into skating and music, and I focused that in high school. Then after high school, when I was working at Starbucks, that's when I started thinking, I definitely don't want to be, serving coffee.
Okay, wait, hold on, hold on.
Mhm.
In when did you get the Starbucks job?
Um,
Was that
had
your
to be
first job?
No, my first job was Atlanta Bread Company when I was 17.
Oh, so okay, so you worked there for how long?
That was maybe about a year or two, and then there was a lot of messing around in that job, and they closed down. So, yeah, I'm a 17-year-old kid, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Doing stuff in the freezer, blowing it, in the napkins, whatever. You get it. 17, we're having fun.
yeah. So then from there, you
Then from
graduated.
there,
Did you graduate
um,
high school or?
no, 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 no. I was a dropout, straight
Oh
up,
wow, interesting. Okay, all right.
straight up.
So
I
you
messed around
never.
way too much in high school. Way too much, man.
Well, okay. So all right, so that's interesting. Now I didn't know this about you. So you didn't get your GED then?
I worked the GD, yeah.
Oh, so you did get it.
Yeah, I got the
Okay.
GD. I just dropped that. I just
Oh, you
dropped
dropped
out
out. Okay.
of high school, yeah. I was in opportunity school, actually.
Okay. No, it's cool, man. That's good. Hey,
Yeah.
that's a great story, bro. You have a good story. So all right, so you're working through your GED. You end up getting it.
Mm.
At the same time, you're like looking for jobs. So do you hop around jobs, or are you trying to find like a struggle, purpose in life? Like, what was your? Did you stop messing around with computers at
My
period?
focus was skating, becoming a pro, and becoming a
Oh,
musician, which I was in a band also during that time.
so time out. So time out real quick. Now,
Mhm.
so that's a big jump from what happened on the middle school to high school. Where is it puberty and girls, and you're like, yeah, forget like computers now, or was
Oh,
it like? I mean, I get it, bro. I mean, I get it,
well,
but
yeah, no, but well, to put it this way, my first actual interest was playing guitar. Like I've been playing guitar
mm,
since I was 7 years old, so I've
oh
been playing
wow,
guitar a long time now. So that was actually like one of my, and also like sports. I always played baseball. My dad, he's a Hall of Famer in Dominican Republic, so he definitely got me into sports as a kid. So I played a lot of baseball, played a lot of football, played some hockey, played some soccer,
oh wow, cool.
and also did like music. I got piano classes and everything. So those weren't those. I always had a bunch of interests, and I think IT is the one that developed that I actually found that wasn't introduced to me. Like I was introduced guitar, I was introduced all that, and I ended up loving all that stuff. But then to me, I feel like the way I
You
found it,
found
yeah, the
them,
way I
yeah.
found it was me searching through the net or talking to people, and like being really excited about it was someone not introducing it to me, but me doing something and then being really excited about it, like in a concert, like wow, this is cool,
Yeah, and then
like that.
okay. Now, during high school, did you mess around with any computers during that time?
That's where I stopped. I've straight up focused on skateboarding and
Yeah,
music.
yeah, it was the
Like,
girls. For all
like,
you guys watching, if anyone's watching, it was the girls.
yeah.
Right, because computers aren't interesting at all,
No,
right?
dude, no. Compared to all my friends, bro, and it was video games too. But compared to all my friends, I was straight focused. Like I was on dude. I was sponsored by Powell. I was
Oh
on
wow,
Flow for Nike. Like I was straight
oh
up. Like I was
wow.
just focused for
Skating.
like for music and skating. Yeah, like I was
Yeah.
like, nope, this is gonna be it for me and all that. Like and then afterwards, of course, I started expanding again because that after that bad experience with the whole, I was amazed by the digital forensics my cousin did and got everything back. But
Hmm.
then I was like, I'm done with this because it was a hobby and it caused me so much grief. You know what I'm saying?
Why?
Like, was it because man, when I deleted everything, I was
Oh
crying.
no,
Man,
yeah, I
I
see
was
what you're saying.
crying.
Yeah, you're like it's. Yeah, you know what? I wanted to be a mechanic. So before I got my degree, I was actually going to be a certified mechanic, a diesel mechanic, and I
Nice.
didn't want to touch my car. Like I had an old Honda '92. My mom bought me. My parents got me, I should say,
Um,
and yeah, I didn't want to touch my car at all because I'm like, dude, I need to get to work. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm not gonna fuck with this thing and then have a break on me on the way to work and then lose my job. You know,
yeah.
so I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. So I understand on that aspect. So okay, so once you got that bad experience, you're like, you kind of were traumatized by that, right?
Yeah, no, I straight up, I was just like, nah, I'm not messing with this stuff because it was fun, but to the certain extent that I just wiped everything and I was just like, man, all my like work, all my saves, I wrote too, like not like for professional, just like in my journal and stuff like that. But I kept it in
Mhm.
text pads, and I was like, man, everything's gone, man. And I just felt like an eighth grader. Like I was just like, it was just me messing around with this little hobby that wasn't the biggest of my interests.
Mm.
It was super cool. But once I wiped everything, I'm like, it's kind of not worth it. It's like maybe skateboarding. Some people, I've taken some falls off of like 13 stairs and like dude, like some bad falls, and some people are like, you know what, it's not worth this
We're
pain.
like, yeah,
But to
I'm
me, I
good.
was like,
Yeah,
bro, I love it so much that I'm gonna just fall, whatever. If I get a broken bone, whatever. I just love it. I love doing it. So
yeah,
it
no,
wasn't
it's
to that extent right there. And I was like, bro, I'm not wiping anything again. I'm not messing with that. And yeah, and I've always liked it. Like during that time when I was messing with like hacking and all that, like in MIRC, I was still skateboarding. I was still playing outside. Like I wasn't just, like some of my friends were actually like book dudes and like computer and like stayed inside. I was
so
just
you
like
did
more
have friends that were like that were into IT and programming or something of that nature where they were focused on the computer.
Yeah, like they straight. I remember friends that just were more obsessed with the computers than me, and I
Mhm.
wanted to like after playing a while, a little bit on the computer, I wanted to go outside.
Side,
I wanted to
yeah.
do something else. I wanted to like play music or something. So I was like, let me put this down. I had a lot of fun doing skateboarding, messing around in high school, blah blah blah. Then afterwards, that's when I started working at 17. Started working at Atlanta Bread Company. Then I worked at Tober Herb's Lube Shop, which that was horrible, but that was a real fun job. I remember the first day a lug nut fell off into the oil pan and got my entire face full of oil,
Oh, what?
my arms and everything. And that was the first day. And this old guy just started laughing at me and handed me a rag and was like, there you go. Welcome. Welcome to the pit. That's what they call it. Welcome to the pit.
So okay, so all right, so then you go to your next. So at this point, did you kind of abandon uh, skateboarding entirely and all of that, like guitaring, like, or were you like on tour or something,
No,
or
I
you kind of
played
just
local shows. I was in a band, multiple bands during this. Like, let's see, 17 years old. I worked there for like a year, so 18, and then Tober Herbst was like a year and a half, 2 years. Um, then there, that was like 2 years. So I was 21. Yeah, yeah. And then that's about the time where I started going at Starbucks because I worked there 7 years, and I think I worked there till I was like 27 or 28.
so
So it
why'd
must have
you
been.
abandon the skateboarding? Did you
Oh no, I still during all my Starbucks, I was still skateboarding
for
during
fun, or were you still trying to do it as a career?
Yeah, I was still trying to do it as a career, but it just with work, it just turned into like my main hobby. Just as soon as I got off work,
Mm.
just go skate. Go to work, go skate. Go to work, go skate, and then
So at
jam out
that
with.
point, so correct me if I'm wrong. At that point, you're just like, all right, I'm kind of going through life right now. I'm enjoying this paycheck. Or maybe the
Exactly.
skateboard. Is that okay? Good assumption.
Yeah, and I was also going to college, but I
Mhm.
messed around a lot in college
Yeah, you were
also.
trying to figure it out at this point.
Yeah,
You
I was a
were
philosophy
between.
major.
Yes,
That's how
yeah.
much I didn't
See,
know.
yeah.
That's how much
So
I didn't know what I want to do. I was a philosophy
you're like,
major, bro.
fuck it. What can I test? What can I do that requires very little, bare minimum work or something? Let me just grab that. That's what it sounds like. When your
Yeah, no,
philosophy.
I actually like I have some Play-Doh books and everything. I thought it was cool, but I just legit didn't know. I was like, I thought
Mhm.
philosophy is cool. Like I like reading about it, but I just yeah,
And then
exactly.
during the whole time, you were
Philosophy.
literally just going to work, skateboarding, and no computers at all.
Computers for games. Yeah, computers for games. And I was looking at tech stuff. I always look at tech news. So I was like,
Oh, okay.
I still had interest in it, but I wasn't gonna delve in it. I literally dedicated my time to music and skateboarding.
Mm,
Then
okay. And then
about
now,
five
okay,
years.
yeah. And then when did you start the transition from Starbucks, skateboarding, kind of chilling, reading tech stuff on the side a little bit, and going
Yeah.
through life? When did that transition like start with you?
I wanted a career. I was like, let's see. Oh, and I wanted to be an academic. I wanted to be an expert at something. I
Mhm.
remember that emotion too. I was like, I
I
want
have
to
the
be
same feeling. I want to
an
be like
expert
really
at
good at
something.
one thing and be like that guy that they call for on this particular subject.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
had I can't even explain it. It was just an emotion I got in there. I was like, I want to be an expert at something. I want to be academic. Like I want to be intelligible in a subject that I feel confident, and I feel like it gives me reassurance of like me being me thinking that I'm smart and that I'm worth it, that I got the capabilities
Hmm.
to be an expert on something. So then I started, all right, so let's try to do. I was like, no, I'm done with the food industry. I'm not doing that. Uh, Not at all. So that was like around 5 years into Starbucks. So now I'm what, 24, 25, 26, one of those, I don't know. And 5 or 6 years in it. And then I start thinking, hey, I liked hacking, like checking it out. So I started looking at programs. I started messing with Trojans again, like doing what I was doing, looking at Poison Ivy. There's Sub 7, other versions of it. There's Cain and Abel. Those are all like little Trojans that like when you first just like script
So
kidding,
how'd you get introduced to that?
I'm just searching. Well, from that, when it came to, I knew about Sub 7 from, when
Oh,
I was
from a
like
long
hanging with
time
my
ago.
friend in
Yeah.
middle
So
school. Yeah, that's like one of the first ones.
did you like pull that information, like did you just pull it from memory, or did you just start researching secure, like, oh, like I know I enjoyed hacking that one time with my friends a long time ago. Let me go
Exactly.
research that same stuff I did back then and what it's like now. Is that what you do? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And like that's what I started looking up crypto programs to where it's like, everything else. I started looking up Bitcoins and stuff. And I was like, oh man, you know what? I still do have an interest for it. I just had stronger interests at that point in my life for music and skateboarding. So I was like, let's
Mm.
do this. This make me expert, whatever. So I started looking at networking, stuff like that,
So,
cybersecurity,
so did you like?
programming.
How would you search? Would you searching like careers to get into cybersecurity, or did
Oh yeah, yeah.
you?
Top 10 paying careers in IT, baby.
That's what you
That's
said.
the
Top
first thing
10.
I googled. That's
Oh
the first thing
man,
I
that's so funny. I
googled.
wonder if let me pull that up and see what that looks like. But okay, so keep talking. Go ahead. So you
Yeah, top
researched
10
that.
paying careers, and I saw that, and I was like, all right, cool. I was like, it gets smaller and smaller, like the specialties get stronger and stronger. And I was like, I thought forensics, I think, is cool to anybody, like whether it be like crime forensics or digital forensics. I was like, that's cool. So the most interesting part for me was just straight up, cybersecurity, hacking, like, it's exciting, red team, blue team stuff. And I was like, cool, let's try that stuff out again. But I said, let's start from a good like knowledge base. Like, what's a good knowledge base? So I wasn't that well informed, and I didn't inform myself that well, like the difference between software, networking, blah blah, and what it could lead to, like what career could
Mhm.
lead to. What do I specialize in? And it's like I'm not gonna bring a digital forensics expert to run an entire network in a $multi-million corporation.
Yeah.
That's more of a niche. And so it's like, okay, all right. So I was like, let's see what I like. And I like the networking, I like the connection. So I was like, let me try to get my associates, CSN. This is like 5, 6 years into Starbucks into networking. So I made that decision. I was like, boom, all right, networking, associates and networking. Got.
Oh, so that's where so it stemmed from networking. So it went
Yeah.
from security to a base, and then you were looking from there, cross referencing what's a good way to start,
Yeah.
right?
What's a
To
good way
get
to
to
start? And
security,
what's
because
paying
security
like
was a
networking?
really big specialty, right? Based on your information you were studying. I mean, you
Yeah,
were researching.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
they
Then
were
I
like, oh, the best approach is networking.
exactly. Then I
Okay,
started Googling, and it was also an interest. And I started Googling like what are these certifications? You start looking up all the
why'd you
certifications.
look at certifications? So you were doing, you started enrolling. So first was a degree. You first started looking up degrees for networking, right, to support the
Yeah, it felt like
security.
all at the same time. I was looking up certs, that how do you get into careers? Like what do you do? Looking up what people say on YouTube videos, like how did I get here to be a network
Okay, so
engineer?
that's what got introduced you to certifications from that. Okay, I was curious
Yeah,
as to how did you make that connection? Because I didn't know about certifications when I first started, and then someone had to tell me. I think I had like, I had I think at the VRI they told me about certifications. I'm like, what's that? And then I researched them.
oh, that's
So
cool.
yeah, so you were looking at, okay, how do I get into cybersecurity? Networking kept being brought up. You cross referenced that with degrees, and then you
Yeah,
ran into videos of talking about certifications.
yeah. And like
Okay.
the biggest thing I remember, and for like two other friends that were in school, was um CCNA or Net Plus. That was like a big debate, or getting A plus or Net Plus. But that was, but when it
Mhm.
came to networking, I just remember the conversations when you're first starting out and you don't know anything, you're just like, okay, Net Plus or CCNA. And then what I did was I went to every job search site, Indeed, Monster, whatever the ones that were up back then, and I would just literally type in the search. I would type in Network Plus or Net Plus. I would type in Security Plus. I would type in OSCP, and all the jobs that were requiring it, that in rejects, when they look up regular expressions on their page, they would just whoever had that, and I would see what kind of jobs were available to me. And I wanted to do a cert because I wanted to get into working in that field quicker, because I was
Mm-hmm.
like, man, I got to go through all this, get associates, then I start working. I was like, then from what I heard is you get a Net Plus, that's a good way in the door. You
Mm-hmm.
get A plus, that's a good way in a certain door, and whatever door. And so I remember the big debate between me was like, should I do CCNA or Net Plus? And the reason I chose Net Plus was not because I thought there was more information, more of a or easier learning curve, a softer introduction. It was just I thought Net Plus was focusing on everything networking
Mm-hmm.
and not just a proprietary product.
Yeah.
That was my first impression. But from what I know now, CCNA is actually showing you networking with their proprietary products, but also just networking a base. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
that's my impression.
Yeah, because you
The
had
first time I was
no.
looking at certs, I was like, CCNA just wants me to focus on this product. Well, what if I get a job in networking that's only focusing on Fortinet? My
Yeah.
CCNA isn't going to be nothing. But that's what I thought. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what CCNA actually teaches you is all the fundamentals. But
Yeah.
the Network Plus, they put it out there like, we're not for a proprietary. This is just straight up. You're gonna learn networking. I was like, okay, cool. And Network Plus.
Yeah.
That's the
So
impression
yeah,
I got.
because at that point you weren't even thinking about Cisco. Like you were like, well, I want to be able to be versatile. I want to take in
Yeah,
a job.
if they
Yeah.
hire me for Cisco, I want to be able to do
So after
Cisco.
the Net Plus, that was the first certificate you took.
Yeah, that was the first one.
All right. Now, what happened after that? Did you get a job or into the IT
Past
field?
that one. So I got that cert, still working at Starbucks. My friend Honor, I talked to him because we went
Mm-hmm.
to some classes together. I started doing the associates for networking, and him and I, where did we work at first? How did we meet? We met at DTT. That was after Starbucks. But before, that's what we started talking about together, where we took the same similar classes. Then when I stopped working at Starbucks, we took the same classes. But he was in the same exact spot I was, and we were like, okay, cool. So you got your CCNA and I got my Net Plus. Now we're both going for Security Plus now. So that's when I started going for Security Plus. That was my second cert, Security Plus.
Okay.
And then
Now, so you didn't even think about getting a job yet, or were you searching at the same time?
yeah, I was searching. I actually started searching. Um,
So you didn't get
but
a job after the search, and while you're getting your security plus, you were still knocking out the security plus, so you never got a job yet.
yeah, no, I was still working at Starbucks, but I just decided to just keep going with the certs and just kind of get my feelers out, send out a few applications, but I wasn't like
Oh, you weren't aggressively
hardcore.
looking then. Okay, I
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to make
I
sure
was.
that because I want to highlight that if that was the case, that this Net Plus actually didn't help you much on getting the job, but we can't say that because you weren't aggressively looking. You were like, I want to still learn more and
Oh,
get
well,
it.
at that point, no, but at yes, I can
Yeah.
say 100% yes. It helped me get the job at DTT,
Oh, did it?
which
Okay.
is my first tech job, which is remote technician for servers that were running I don't know, put CCTV systems that were either IP or analog, didn't matter. We were the ones that would call and be like, hey, you got two cameras down. Do you have any time to work with us? Or do you have a tech there? Or we would send out a tech, and then if it was a major problem, fix it with them. And I would have to port forwarding, firewalls, server hardening,
So how
Microsoft
many?
hardening.
So how many certifications did you get until you got into DDT?
Oh, okay. So afterwards, let's see. I only had Net Plus, and okay, so I got the Net Plus towards the end of my job with Starbucks, right? Because then I only
Mm-hmm.
worked like about a year and a half or 2 years more, and then that's boom. I went straight to DTT. I remember quitting Starbucks, going to DTT, and then right there, um, they specifically told me they liked the Net Plus,
Mm.
and I think they actually
That.
reimbursed me for Security Plus. So I don't
Oh
think I had
wow.
Security Plus yet, but they did
Mm.
reimburse me for Linux Plus and Security Plus, but they stopped it because it's like, all right, Linux Plus is not relevant to like us. Well,
Uh,
I actually did mess on some Linux systems, but they didn't think it was relevant enough for
mm.
them to take it. So
They're like,
back
nah,
then,
like this guy, stop taking so many
oh yeah, I
certs.
was
They're
going
like,
crazy, bro. I was about to tell them the OSCP. Yeah, I'm about to take it. And they're like, isn't that like a lot of money? I was like, yeah, but you guys are hooking it up. I'm gonna go for it. Hell yeah, it's all free.
no, we not.
So they paid me back for Security Plus, and they
uh,
paid me back for Linux Plus. Then from there, they were like, no more certs that have nothing to do with like our
uh,
job and stuff. So I'm
yeah,
like, but
what that means though is that we've capped out, like you, in my opinion,
mm,
with 1 year experience there, and with the Security Plus and Net Plus,
mm.
you already capped out on your, you weren't going to grow anymore there. So what that and what that and they told you that by telling you no more, we're not paying no more certifications, because they're actually telling you you're way beyond, your skill set's way beyond what we can offer you.
Yeah, now they're
That's
now they're getting searched for other jobs or whatever for my
yeah,
future and everything. But they're like,
yeah.
there's nothing really to do. Like, if I was going for my CCIE
Like,
and I'm
bro,
getting
you're
a lot of
overqualified.
tickets,
That's what that means.
you know?
Like, hey, we can't pay you for your certs because they're too advanced, so you're
Yeah,
overqualified.
yeah, exactly. They were like,
Yeah.
they felt like it didn't have enough to do with just, hey, this is basic stuff, and you're
Mhm.
going into something else. Like getting a CCIE and then paying for it. You know what I'm saying? When you're really
Mhm.
just working on tickets,
yeah,
doing like basic stuff, they're like, no, we're not gonna do that.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
But
so great. So you worked there for how long?
that was a 2 year streak right there. So 2 years
Wow.
there,
And then
and
okay, so
mhm.
did you start the OSCP at that time?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. After the Security Plus, I just did that on my own. But then I talked to Honor and Alex. I call him Alex, but his real name is Honor. So we were like into Linux, messing with it a little bit. And we're like, bro, we should do our Linux Plus, bro. Let's do it. You into Linux too? He's like, yeah, I'm getting into it. I want to be a Linux DevOps and
Mm.
stuff like that. I want to be like administrator, but Linux focused. I'm like, bro, I like that too. Let's do it. And it's like, bro, that's when I started getting back into Linux, start, installing OSs, getting the feel for it, starting to
Mhm.
check out Metasploit, a little bit of more hacking programs that like I either remember or that
And
I
that
use.
actually got introduced in Linux, or was that part of the exam, or?
The which one? The Metasploit stuff?
Yeah.
No, no, that's like OSCP. That right there, they'll start
So how'd
they
you do? So you were doing the Linux Plus with your friend, and
yeah, exactly.
then
They're
you
both
guys
got the
finished
Linux
that.
Plus. Yeah, we finished. We got the Linux Plus. They paid both of us they
Hmm.
reimbursed us for the Linux Plus. Then he went and he got work at Switch, that
That was the story you
what
were
is it,
telling me before. Okay,
network
yeah.
data center.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he got hooked up at Switch, and from there he was a knock. Then he went to Linux system administration for like their DevOps team. I don't know, something like that. And then
So,
one other guy, Greg, he
uh-huh.
was in his CCIE while I was in
The OCP.
DTT, and he
Oh,
actually got it, and he became a network engineer for Switch.
yeah. I
He
remember
made
telling me.
Switch.
Now, two of the buddies that you came from DDT, they got into Switch. Now, tell me, Rudy, and the audience, right? Tell
Uh,
them why you didn't get into Switch.
I personally think I sweat too much. I sweat way too much in that interview. They got me tripping out, bro. First of all, you show up to this fortified complex that's like boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, holy moly.
Yeah,
This
no, but
I,
you had told me one specific thing though, like that you didn't answer well in the interview.
Oh yeah, no, 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 no. Well, the tech part was cool. So I went in. The part of it, well, it's also like I was sweating a lot because, bro, they escorted you with assault rifles and they had flashbangs hanging off of their vests, bro. That's how I was being escorted. And they walked me through an entire complex with doors that were like, dude, 30 feet high, with nothing but concrete walls, no pictures, no nothing. I literally got lost in there. Like they did that on purpose. They put me in there, and they started telling, but okay, so back to the interview. Now I'm at the interview. There were 3 interviews. There's supposed to be 3. I did 2. So the first one was just introduction, history, 5-star program or 5-star, questionnaire stuff. Then the second
Mm-hmm.
one was more tech. Past that, flying colors. They were like, "Oh man, you got the OSI layer." I was like, "How do you got to compare, at an interview? You got to at
Mm-hmm.
least know that, like layers or something." But it's like they were impressed by that. But then towards the end of that interview, they started asking me, what do I know about this company and what do I know about who started it and why do we have these patents on these coolers? They're huge coolers. They're the size of like three. The not okay. No, that's small. Like six two-story houses all put together, and that's one cooler for like their server rack, like for like the servers and everything and all. I didn't even get to see it. They didn't even let me in there to check it out, bro.
Yeah.
But they're asking me stuff like that had nothing, and I didn't prepare. I didn't know who the guy was that was the CEO, and from what I heard from Honor, because he talked to me, they didn't really get back to me or anything, let me know what I did wrong or anything like that, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that's weird.
But that made you feel like, and that was probably it too.
Oh, it
That
was a flat out rejection to me. They said at
yeah.
least let me know, hey, or we took consideration of that because
Yeah, and I like the way I got interviewed with Google,
mhm,
and they actually took the time and they called me back, and I was pissed. Well, I wasn't pissed. I was upset, but at least they took the time to call me and tell me, hey, look, like you didn't pass, and I'm like, all right, and they don't want to tell me why or anything either. But they did ensure that there was a follow up with the person personally rejecting you, and they left a message, but they didn't tell me what the reason was, so I had to call them, so they didn't reject me over email. I mean, over voicemail either. So
damn,
that's
what they
cool.
say? What was the
No, they just said that no, like literally, like you're
like you're a
like I
good
was
candidate, but
unfortunately
you
you're
just
not the
wasn't picked?
candidate. Yeah, you weren't selected. And I
Okay.
was like, why? Well, we're not allowed to tell you. I was like, is there anything specifically that you would think you recommend for me to study and do better in a year from now? And they're like, we can't tell you that either, but we do recommend you to apply. Don't apply for another year. So, and then for me, I mean, honestly, like when you're in an interview,
Yeah.
um, and I've gone through many at Lowe's, I practice. So, but real quick before I digress a little bit, is that
Mm.
during the interview, I did terrible. They asked me to write a script to rename something or we want to set up 100 computers. Write a script to rename all the computers and over your head, on top of your head. And the guy was very lenient, but I still wasn't able to do it effectively, in my opinion, and how I best wanted to describe it at the time. And then the Linux commands, I was pretty competent because I read like that big book, actually, the one I gave to Sean. And
Yeah, okay.
yeah, I read that
Yeah,
whole
I
book in
remember.
a week. So I read the whole book. I spent up like several different labs on several different. I'm sorry, one server, several different VMs, and I was like labbing it up every day because I recently had just got fired. So I was like, I'm gonna just make sure like
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back and work for Google after I got fired. That'd be a cool comeback story. So that was the plan, right? So I was like doing all this stuff, and I was pretty confident on the Linux stuff, but they on scripting automation, I was just like not at the level that they wanted me to, especially to get interviewed for it. So unfortunately, I didn't get the
Got it.
job, and I'm pretty sure that was the reason why. There was like networking questions. HR didn't, but I think by the time I got to HR, they knew, like she knew that I wasn't going to get it because you could tell when somebody has to interview you and they know like they're wasting their time. Like
Uh-huh.
I felt during the talk that I was wasting her time. So I was like,
Oh man.
that's not good. Like, so I went to like two interviews and I got to her. Well, I think two or three interviews, then got to the HR and it was done. So I think by the time I got to her, that the numbers were already low and like I wasn't going to get it. So I think that's a good determining factor. But yeah, the times that I couldn't get good answers was just scripting automation. So then I bought a bunch of like on Udemy, I bought a bunch of Linux courses and automation and scripting and Python courses for
Yeah,
me
with
to
like
start.
Bash or Z Shell or C Shell, stuff like that, like C.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, not really. Like not C or anything. It's I got a lot
Really more
of
Bash.
just Python
Okay.
and Linux administration, automation,
Perl,
Linux
Ruby, all that
administration.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And those are the books that I study labs, like courses that I got on Udemy. And I think I got Red Hat Linux course on Udemy also.
Ooh, that's nice.
So yeah, I have like about 150 dollars, and it don't sound like a lot of money, but it's a lot of money. And if you ever shopped in like Udemy, where it's like $10 a course,
Yeah,
so I got like at least like 20 courses on Linux and automation. So
that's awesome, actually.
yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna come back with a vengeance. But I got another job, and then now I'm at where you guys are at, where we're at now. So,
Yeah.
but okay, so after you got rejected from Switch, what ended up happening after that? Like, what were you still in DTT? Did you? Because I think you got laid off, right, from DTT.
DTT, yep. They're just cutting that. Oh no, yeah. When it came to DTT, there's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and then tier VIP, which certain customers, because we had the national base of Burger Kings, McDonald's, Blue
Mhm.
Diners, blah blah blah, where we literally like were just looking. We were the techs for all those businesses for their CCTV and for the server that's running it, and like making sure their matrix works and all that stuff like on the TV. But when it came to that ended, and then I got a job at a PC repair shop,
Oh,
and
that's
that
where.
was a cool job.
Okay. So, were you still doing the OSCP?
Yeah, no, actually, the OSCP I got it before I got the device based laptop. I got the OSCP while I was in it. I remember too. I remember some dudes looking at me like there were some dudes that didn't like me there. Not just because like you click
DDT?
some people, yeah, DTT. Not just because they like
Uh-huh.
didn't like me. I never got into a fight with anyone, but just like you click with some dudes and
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that I ever tried to talk to the dude, never said anything. But when I said I got my OSCP and he heard me, he's like, "Got it, bro." We were like in an hour and a half conversation, bro. Like instantly, he's like, "Bro, I didn't think like you were that in it. I just you always because I always talked around, I always messed around, you know me."
Yeah.
So he was just like he never took me like that serious. He was just like it's just a regular dude just working here. But then when he heard the OSCP, he's like, "Bro, you're actually into this," and I'm the one, and I'm interested in doing the OSCP. I was like, "Yeah, bro, I just did it. I couldn't. I can say anything better about it. It's just awesome. I mean, all I could say is good things about it. My bad. It's just great
Now,
things
now,
about it.
real quick. Now, real quick here. Why did you go to a PC repair shop after your OSCP? Why?
I was trying to look for anything, and also the OSCP. When I looked at the jobs for people who want OSCP, they want GIAC, GIAC, like certifications that are $5,000. It's a specialized like for the actual jobs that are wanting OSCP. You're now into the specialized field of security, which unfortunately I had no idea until I attended a bunch of DEF CONs, talked to people at DEF CONs that, and there's a bunch of my teammates. We do capture the flag hacking competitions, and they're actually getting paid big time. They're in the spots that I want to be in. One of them's a web application penetration tester. The other one's actually just working on a firmware, or well, yeah, working on firmware. The other one's working on kernels, fixing it up. The other one's making money off of bug bounty. It's like the only way you get into SOC, the only way you get into like those niche companies where you're working the security for Google is you either got to be network admin, you got to be network engineer, you got to be you have to have software programming experience. It's like those are usually the ways in. You just don't take a cert and then they'll see that you can do that, but this you're just still so far away. At least that's what it feels like from actually getting like
So the
on
reason,
red
so
team,
you had, I mean, you had experience with DDT, but what it sounds like is that you didn't have the projects under your belt yet for
yeah.
experience on your resume to justify you to get to that next level with the OSCP. So the OSCP didn't get you a job.
Yeah,
It,
no,
it,
it didn't.
it kind
No.
of got you this job at the arena. It got you this job, but
Yes.
the PC repair shop is like, I don't care about that. You have it. What it sounds like for me, and if I was a hiring manager at a PC repair shop, I will see that you have years experience in IT. I'm like, okay, great, I don't have to teach them anything. You should fix stuff. You're hired. So you were overqualified for that job, and they hired you. So, and in my opinion, I think it wasn't even OSCP at all. I think you were still like, I think the opportunity was at Switch, and they just first you didn't get lucky. In my opinion, on interviews, you have to be lucky because you have to be right place, right time, right person, and then have
Yeah.
the skills, right? I think you probably got the wrong person interviewing you, and they told you no. But that was a
Oh,
gold
yeah.
mine right there. That was
And
always.
Honor said the guy that got the interview, that got me the interview for Switch, he's like, yeah, no, I straight up I memorized who started the company when he went to college. I knew when the guy went to college and got out of college. Like I knew he invented these patents, and he's like, man, I should have talked to you about that because I was actually pretty influential with it. And then from there on, I learned like all the same thing. When I came to the HyperX interview, I at that time I started researching that same stuff that didn't get me into Switch. Was
Mhm.
Kingston owns, Allied Esports, blah blah blah, and John Teo, I guess, he's the CEO. So I started memorizing all these names that were like had nothing to do with technology, the history of the company, when did it start, when did you come to Vegas, like because that it took a lot of time out of tech interview, and I put a lot more effort into knowing the actual company, and that has nothing to do with my job. Just
Mhm.
just so I don't miss that part again.
Yeah, see, that's what you got to
Put a lot of
do.
emphasis on
Yeah,
that.
and that's what you got to do. That's a perfect response on a. That's why I always like talking about that. Like when people, they, I think they're ashamed a little bit and talking about their failures. But in my opinion, I love talking about that. This is what this whole channel is about. Talking about failures. Like I failed my CCNA 3 times. I think I failed my CCNP. Finally got it. I'm working on my CCNP, the second round of it. And then I got rejected to plenty of interviews. But I haven't gotten nervous on an interview in a very long time. I'm talking about maybe in a couple years. Like I walk in
Wow.
there and I'm not nervous at all.
Confidence is good.
Well, it's like I said, I'm gonna get lucky if it's the right person, like the right opportunity, the right timing. Because I may go into an interview perfectly prepared. Like you, Rudy, will walk into an interview with me, and if I'm pissed off because it's just got like my ass chewed upstairs, and I go down to this interview and I'm not focused, and I'm just like throwing a bunch of stuff at you, and I'm like, and you answering them great, and I'm just like, nah, I don't even want to talk. Like, I'm gonna go home and do whatever. Like, forget this job. So I go home and I forget about Rudy. And somebody else calls me, and then they want an interview the next morning. And then after I already calmed down, I'm like, oh, I'll go to this interview. And then this guy, I'm in a much more optimistic mood, and I find somebody who's less qualified than Rudy or best, like not as good or whatever.
Mm.
And I may hire him and forget about Rudy. Like that's how crazy this stuff is. Like, so I always think about that interview. I'm just like, I'm gonna just try to be the best I can be right now and hope for the best, and that's it. Because I'm not lying. Well, that's one good indication too. Like you'll get nervous if you lie, but if you're not lying or taking an opportunity that you know for sure you cannot do,
Yeah.
then it's always good to have a doubt, because then if you're scared a little bit, that means you're going to beyond your comfort zone.
You're gonna be on your toes. You're gonna be like,
Yeah. But if you're not lying, I mean, look, I'm not lying to you when I say that I can do certain things. But so I have no reason for me to be nervous. I mean, let's just talk, let's have a conversation. I had an interview at the arena when they interviewed me. I think two 45-minute conversations with the president, and then 2 hours for Alex, and it was just conversations, talks. Every interview I've recently got in the past like probably year was about an hour and a half, and I'm just talking. I'm like, like I'm just.
And is that you talking about like your projects you did?
Yeah, projects and like I asked them like, okay, what's the job entail, and then they're like this. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Well, you know what? I have that. I recently dealt with something like that. I did this, and then do a story. I talk about like if it's a story. I'm like, this is actually pretty funny. Like, check this out. I did this, I did that, and then this happened, and I got really freaked out. I'm like, oh my goodness, like I should have planned this, should have prepared. And then I go back into like more technical stuff. I ran this command, did this, and I'm like, oh, okay. And after a few hours, and some of them didn't work out. Like I had an interview with a big company here, and they it was terrible. They ripped me apart. I didn't know the job description, so I walked in there blind. So they sent me a job description like an hour or 30 minutes before the interview, and this was through
a recruiter.
Yes, a recruiter. So they sent me an interview. They sent me the job description an hour, half an hour before the thing, because I had to initiate it. So I asked them, they didn't send it, I sent an email to them, hey, could you send it to me? I'm walking into this interview. They sent it to me and then asked me a bunch of CCNP stuff. I'm like, bro, I'm still reading it. Like I was I wish I didn't have my book. It's too far. Like say the book was, and this I know you can't see it, Rudy, but for the people watching it visually, like I was like in chapter, like this is chapter 4. So where the tabs here. So think of like I don't know a half an inch, Rudy, of papers. So
Okay.
that's probably like what I was reading, right? Like up to that point, and that's it. So in the job description, they talk about CCNP routing and some of the questions like that. I'm like, bro, like there's no way I can prepare for this in 30 minutes. So I quickly look up some stuff, and I walk in there, and I get hammered, and I'm realizing I'm getting hammered. And
Eesh.
some of the questions was like, I'm running OSCP, OSPF, and ERGRP, and I'm trying to route traffic between the two. Back then, I didn't know about route injection and route redistribution and all that stuff, and so I couldn't give them like responses that I know now, right? Then I finished reading the book, and I remember reading the book, and I'm like, what the hell? Like all these questions they're asking me. I read through the book, and then I finally found route distribution. I'm like, oh, and now I could pass that interview easily,
Oh
right?
yeah,
But
easy. Yeah.
yeah, but I didn't know at the time, and they rejected me. But doesn't mean I was not ready for it. I think within 3 months I was ready for that job because then I read the CCNP switch book. That took me about a month, and then 2 months for the route book, and I read that twice. So I did 4 months of studying for the route book. So within 6 months, I was more than capable of taking on that job in that job role. But
Just a matter of knowing
well, it's timing.
what you needed by the
Well,
time.
yeah, and timing, right? I was
Yeah.
interviewed by those individuals, and they probably weren't the best managers for me, also, because it just depends. Like that's why when I get out of it, I'm like, damn, I didn't get that one. Well, so and I just move on, like just brush it off my shoulder, and then take those experiences, and
Mhm.
then put them onto I put Palette on top of my stories that I can even share right now for people like who are going to be watching this, and then benefit me in the future, right? So that's what, man. Never get nervous. Never get nervous in interviews, man. Never, because
Uh, they
like
can sense it.
you They
They can
know.
sense it. They can
Well, yeah.
see it.
One time I interviewed this guy, man. This he was a robot. I was like, hey, so what's up? Why are you get into IT? And he was like, yes, no, like answer me. I was like, man, bro, I cannot hire you, man. I'm like, I cannot, like, I can't. I don't want to. I prefer like one of the two ways. I love how you and Sean work with me is that I tell Sean something, he either has some type of comeback and argues
uh,
with me, or you were like you do this goofy thing and end up doing it, and then like we have this exchange of like just personality. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So I don't want to. I don't really don't want to tell someone, hey, do this, and then they're like, okay, and then doing it, and it's like dumb, and they didn't tell me that it was dumb. Like I love it
Oh
when I
yeah,
tell you
yeah.
guys
Like
stuff.
a what is it? Like a malicious compliance. Like, no, I want you to put tape there, but tape would actually be counterproductive. Something like that. Like, oh
Yeah,
well, you told me to do it. No,
yeah,
not like
exactly. I'm like, bro, if you thought that was a dumb idea, I know I'm your boss,
that.
but tell me it's a dumb idea. Like, there's plenty of times where I tell you to do something, and you're like, I don't know, and I'm like, all right, just do your idea. Let's go with that one. Okay, that's a better one. Let's do it.
Well, make it work. Just make it
Yeah,
work.
just make it work, man. Like whatever. So, but okay, so that's great. So you took the OCP. You unfortunately didn't get to switch, right? And then that's how you got into the position you're in now here at the arena, right?
Before wait, came the switch, and
The
then
switch, PC repair shop. You were at the PC repair shop. You didn't feel real quick. Let's go back to that. You didn't feel like you were like overqualified for that job. How was that experience? Like, where you?
oh, it was great, man, because I never got to touch hardware. Okay, so the entire time in DTT was me remoting in, log me in, TeamViewer, SSH. I would three Linux servers max I worked on out of 2 years, and it wasn't that big of an issue. So like it was just really light, but it was mostly just Windows, and basically it was remoting in, figuring out what's going on, and either working with the owner or with a tech that we assigned out there to either install and set up the entire CCTV for, let's say, a McDonald's, or repair one camera, make sure it works. And also, we would make sure the POS was working, communicating with the payment processing servers. and port forwarding and firewalls inside. So it was just straight remote. Me in a little cubicle and just like always messing with tickets and calling people, hey, do you have time to mess with this camera? Do you have time to fix this part? Blah blah blah, and doing it. Then it went into hardware when it came to PC repair shop, and it was a lot more fun than I thought, like opening up all-in-ones, opening up every single type of laptops. But we had a collection of like 20 some stickers of Intel stickers back from the 80s, like that they were just throwing away, like old laptops.
Yeah.
I just got to see all that. Like I got to see all the old technology. I got to see laptops from the
So
80s.
that's crazy. I would be like so bored. Like I would just be like, oh my goodness. But you're very curious. You're that, and then that's one of the traits apparently in hackers, where in security professionals, where they're curious on all kinds of stuff. They're like, I want to make this work and do something.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
You just kind
you're
of want
you're
to tinker.
very curious, right? Anything that
That's
kind
all
of
it is.
like, go ahead. So do you?
You're just tinkers. It's just basically your
Yeah.
mom telling you, "Don't touch that." Why are
Yeah.
you touching that? You broke it. You broke something else. Do it manicioso. I think that's what she
Yeah.
would say. You're just too handsy. You just touch and you want to mess and you want to see how something works all the time and you break it. So that's what
Yeah.
she always told me not to. So, but when it was really cool, man. Like fixing motherboards and like they did some. The my boss is super good, and also Danny, coworker, they're really good. Like he built custom PCs as a side business. So he
Mhm.
taught me about reservoirs when it comes to water cooling, everything like solid. And we did it too. We had a blow dryer in the back and we actually formed out the pipes, like hard pipes.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
like either or soft tube, whichever the person wanted. And we were
Mhm.
3D printing stuff in the back. And I'd never been introduced to any of the hardware stuff. Just I built my own PC computer. I did that, but I never actually like just thousands of computers coming at you with different issues and how to figure it out and the hardware
So,
for
do
them
you
and
think you
looking
got
at it.
more experience in the PC repair shop or at DTT?
There were two different experiences. The networking experiences, the experience
Mhm.
was straight up DTT, port forwarding routes. I had to deal with firewalls. I had to deal with POS systems that I never seen before. We even had a lab. Oh, and I got a book here too from it. What is it? There's a book that came out that was the vulnerabilities of POS systems, and we actually had a lab at the phone center that we were at that had all the POSs our customers had.
Oh
So
wow.
I got to actually mess with that, all the proprietary softwares and everything in the POS and how they communicated and what UDP ports, TCP. This is supposed to be separated from this network to this network for compliance, to be in
Hmm.
compliance and stuff. So that was all like that got me my experience, but all hardware stuff was just straight up from the PC repair shop. Like any phone that got brought in, I had to fix iPhones, I had to fix Androids, I had to fix different like the Galaxy, just all different types of phones. So I got to tinker around just straight up with all that. And a lot of people would come in trying to build a gaming PC, and we just have conversations on what they would need and what's their budget. And so there are of course like annoying customers like every other place,
And this
but
was DTT or PC repair?
this is PC repair. All the
Okay,
hardware stuff was PC
PC
repair.
repair. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
okay. So I can see that. I can see how DDT was kind of not as hands on, and it sounds like you like more hands on, touching stuff, messing with things.
yeah,
Am
yeah.
I correct on that?
I like them both. I like them
You like
both.
them both?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it was a lot of like I learned so much in DTT when it came to actual networking and like why something's not reading, what's the baud rate of this, and like even the little
Hmm.
printers that print out the receipts, we had to go and remotely fix those. Like we weren't actually there. We just had to be in the computer and like figure it out remotely and
Hmm.
then try to implement it while the owner was there being frustrated. Like, is it working yet? Is it working yet? Is it working yet? And
Yeah,
then they
yeah,
actually
yeah.
let you set out a tech. But it was just straight up motherboards. Hey, I need you to switch out this motherboard, this logic board for any kind of MacBook Pro, all that. I worked on it, opened it up, seeing how hot it gets. Wow, MacBooks actually get hot on bottom. Like that's why
Hmm.
don't they have ventilations on bottom? Or this keyboard, Lenovo, got the best keyboards out there. Boom, boom. Like those ThinkPads. Oh, that's the first time I felt one at that job. I was like, man, this is
Yeah,
nice. So
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and all this other technology that's old that I had no idea about, and CRT
So
DVD drive
so
repair.
now with with all these experiences you got, and now with the arena and all that, now what's your ideal career opportunity? What's your next step? Are you trying? Did you do the OSCP to specific? Because I know I have a buddy of mine who wants to do the OSCP,
Mhm.
and he wants it specifically, and his dream is remote work and penetration testing. So,
Yes.
is that your goal, like going onto a team, blue team, red team type of thing,
That would
or
be fantastic. I would love to either blue team or red team. I think everybody loves the whole red team aspect because I'm a hacker. I'm a hacker. They pay me to hack. I go to another company and you just brag about it. It's like one of the coolest things you can say. I brag. Like I
yeah?
literally have to lockpick, break into this place, hack their database, do all that, and they're paying me for it just so I can do that. And then I tell them what's wrong with them, and then their networking guys get super pissed. Oh, well, it's like, hey, I just got hired to do an audit, security. Like what? Because I read what the live, a penetration tester is like a bunch of vlogs and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and that's like that was right there. That was me. That was same as your friend. I want to be red team, want to go
Mhm.
at it. But then I saw it branched out. I was like, okay, it's not just red team. Then I saw into blue team. What I liked in blue team was from this class, it's internet forensics. And I didn't think that class was going to be cool. Um, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. They show you, of course,
Where'd you get
the
this class at though?
CSN. That's
Okay,
when
that's
the
cool.
yeah for the associates. One of them was internet forensics that I could get. The other one was computer forensics. So I did both of those. Computer forensics was focusing on memory, basically crimes. People downloading illegal stuff and them deleting it. You try to find it, or
Oh
they
wow.
raid a place and they got all the computers, and you got also there's some cool things like freezing RAM. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got a computer that's volatile after you just got done, let's say you're at a crime scene and that computer is really important about it and you can't do anything with it. Like you just like touch it, something goes wrong. You can actually freeze that RAM, transfer it to another computer that's the same model and all that, and then grab that information from that RAM before it gets destroyed.
Oh
Before it
wow.
runs out. Yeah, and there's so many cool things like that. Like in computer forensic, like the FBI paid that one party $3 million, how much, just to get information out of an iPhone 6.
Oh wow.
And that's the FBI paying a private company to do it, not the
Yeah.
FBI himself. So it's like that is really cool. That's more focused, but then the focus on internet forensics is logging everything and what's inside the encapsulations. Like
Mhm.
what is it, the segment number, like the address, the MAC address, what's in it, and where is it at, and how many bits is it at. So if you
Mhm.
bring like in Wireshark, how it comes up in hexadecimal, all the hex numbers and everything, I'll be able to locate where your IP is, what it is, what's it doing, what kind of traffic is it, just by straight up looking at that part, not anything else. And
Yeah.
that turned out to be insanely more interesting than I thought. And so I definitely like IDSs, like intrusion prevention systems, IDS, like systems like that where it monitors traffic and under traffic. Like they taught in that class that they were sending Trojans over an ICMP packets. How is that possible? In the junk data that they send in ICMP,
Yeah.
that was actually like, yeah, somebody actually used that and they were teaching about that. And malicious, you had to identify malicious or malformed packets just with hex and seeing what's going on, what's in this place, what number is supposed to be here. Are these
See, and
flags
that's
supposed
why, and I agree with you on that, and that's why the networking, like basic networking knowledge comes in, like
to
hexadecimals, like how like bits and what's an ICMP
exactly,
packet, like stuff like that. Like if you do, why is it important to stop pings on a firewall or like trace route? Like how does that could if you could do ICMP packets, I think traceroute uses that as its fundamentals. So could you tag that into a trace route and put malicious malware somewhere? You know what I mean?
exactly.
So
Identifying TCP headers like with
yeah.
using
So
snort.
I personally like blue team. I really like that will be my ideal to be just working in an enterprise or just like be a professional, build policies for best practices and stuff like that. I think all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff is
That
real
would
cool, like
be that's
helping
the blue team
businesses.
I'm interested in. That's the blue team I'm interested in. Yep.
Yeah. But okay, so but yeah, you are. So your goal eventually would be to be in somewhere in like security,
Yeah,
high level
exactly.
security at some aspect,
High level
right? Because you're
security.
going to school right now for bachelor's, right?
Yes. Well, yes. I
Or
want to. I just thinking about which university because now CSN is just coming out with bachelors for technology stuff. There was literally only like 4 bachelor programs like a few years ago. There was nothing for CSN. So now it was basically you'd go to UNLV, but I don't think if they have it available for CSN when everything starts popping again, I'll continue with CSN and not do
you should do
UNLV.
Arizona, man. Arizona has a great online program.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
also my
security.
counselor was talking about WGC.
Oh
What's
yeah,
it? I don't know. It's
yeah,
like the owl. It's like I remember that, but
yeah,
there was she was still saying it was you can get your bachelor's in a year and a half if you take these certain programs because I already have a bunch of credits already. She's like in a year and a half with this, you can get
yeah.
your bachelor's now. But yeah,
So, but okay, so real quick, because we've been on here for a little bit, I don't take too much of your time, but real quick, so how did you describe your experience in OSCP and what it took and how many tries did it take you to get there and just all that?
let me see. Let me see. I got it right here. I wrote it down
And how
too.
long did it take for you to actually save up that money? That's a big
Uh,
chunk of change.
that is yeah. No, just save him. I'm good with money management.
Oh, are you?
I
Okay.
don't, I don't, I don't spend a lot on stuff, and I just saved a little bit, checks by checks,
Oh, okay.
and just get it. And then when I finally bought it, yeah, I just went for it and just started getting it. But that was about it when it came to that. But what is it for preparations? You have to be knowledgeable in networking and some scripting and some low level and high level stuff. Like let's see what you should know. I wrote it down basic pen testing concepts, knowledgeable in information security, knowledgeable in networking. What I put for programming scripts and programming and with scripts is Bash, Python, Perl, Ruby, C, Assembly, MySQL, and PHP. I used all those essential. Like those are all essential you have to use in OSCP in the course and in the test. And I don't mean by just using them, you have to break them. So you got
Mm-hmm.
to, for you to break something, you got to be familiar with it. So when I started prepping, I prepped. I also like making like little websites, and so I had familiarity with PHP with doing forms, just
Oh,
basic
wow.
ones for like email forms. MySQL is actually was really like natural for me, super natural. I think it's natural for everybody, man. If you get into my database,
Mm-hmm.
MySQL is like super nice. And then when it came to C and assembly, that's when I started. That was a big jump for me because I was like, man, that's some low level stuff right there. And that's where I actually downloaded what's it called, KNR's the C programming language and some other one, C
Okay.
programming in 1 hour, like, and that one's
So
actually surprising.
so this sounds like a lot of programming stuff.
Yeah, yeah, actually knowing, but also knowing enumeration. That's one of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest things in OSCP, knowing how to enumerate networks, knowing how to enumerate what nodes are on there. Because once you actually get in, you got to start pivoting. You got to start pivoting. They got 3 different networks that are each are harder to get into. So you got to know how to pivot. You got to know how to do dynamic writing, SSH tunneling. Be super familiar with SSH tunneling because you will have to switch out like different kind of packets have to communicate, and you can't communicate with another computer with just doing an SSH. You got to just find loopholes or ways around it or way to connect to another port that can communicate with this port and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like it's really cool.
So now with that with did you feel like the Security Plus and Network Plus prepared in a Linux Plus prepared you enough for the OSCP? I know you passed it, but
Yeah,
for the initial when you started reading on the material when you purchased stuff, was that enough for you to start, or did you feel like you were kind of like, man, I wish I would have studied this, but let's just like grind it out?
the Linux Plus helped me the most.
Okay.
That helped me because they jump in. They jump you in Kali operating Linux system. It's in Debian. So they just jump you in. They don't jump you into a Windows. You do use Windows, but for hacking. So you got to be familiar with VirtualBox, VM. They don't use Chemo that much.
Mm-hmm.
Quick emulator. They don't use that, but they use that. Yeah. So Linux is big emphasis, and also knowing just scripting. Like, you don't have to be a master programmer, just be familiar with like functions and like loops, and knowledgeable in low level, like really low level, is required, because they'll just jump you in. Like in the middle of the course, they started jumping me into debugging, just straight low level, because going to assembly, manipulating shell code and figuring out. So that took a lot of individual, that whole thing took a lot of individual effort. So that's one
Yeah.
of the biggest things. OSCP, that was awesome. That actually taught me the most. It's just me. That's when I actually started being good at Googling. And they even tell you how to be good at Googling. They tell you how to find certain websites that have certain admin pages that are exposed to the front. So that's all that pops up in Google, advanced Google searching. They actually go into that also, so you can find what you need to find, and then
Teach you how to
submit it.
Google.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be really good at Googling. Yeah. But it
So
comes to what's up?
so it sounds like Linux Plus, and then and then just basic understanding. Get pretty much familiar with understanding of a network, right? Of
Definitely have,
how,
yeah, fundamental understanding of a
yeah,
network.
and you not necessarily be certified, right? You could just like read a book about networking
Yeah,
enough, and then have some type of maybe read another book on Python, right, or PHP,
exactly.
right? Would you recommend Python or PHP? What type of
Ooh,
scripting do you recommend? Do you,
actually, since I do the competitions a lot, Python is used a lot with import, with Pwn. Pwn debugger is, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Pwn.
so
Python is definitely a set. Scripting, Perl is not used that much, as far as from what I heard. It's kind of dying down. But for all, you have to grab a public exploit, a CVE, from whatever one they want, and they said fix it to make it work on this computer, because they made it work on the computer they were on and they submitted it. But this one has the same vulnerability, just different computer, different setup. So you literally got to download that public exploit, whether it's in Ruby, C, Python, doesn't matter, Perl, and you just got to adapt to that language. But as long as you have the
mm,
fundamentals down, like this is a loop, this is a function, this is a global, I can
that
see.
makes sense. So it doesn't really matter what you type of scripting you use, because they don't tell you to use this. It's more of a just make it work, and then with that knowledge of whatever it is you prefer, with PHP,
Yeah,
Perl,
exactly.
Python is what you use to actually do the actual job. So okay,
Yeah, yeah,
so pick a scripting language, and then have Linux plus certification, and have some basic understanding of how a network functions. And
yeah.
those are enough tool, and in a very curious mind, and a lot of effort, right, to get to the OSCP.
Exactly. Like
Okay.
they'll you go through a course, and through the PD, so you'll get 10 points in the final test if you actually go through the whole course and jot it down, like PDF, if you actually go through the whole workbook. And so I you do it in your own PDF, like you see it to the side, and then you start filling out your own PDF. And that turned out to be around 60 something pages of just straight like workbook stuff. That all included scripting, doing like a pivoting on networks, figuring out what's the vulnerability, how to find a vulnerability in networks, and low level, high level, whatever it is, it's all there. And then that's when you actually take your test, and it's an actual penetration test. You have to break into 5 servers, get root on them, and one of them's a Windows, one of them's a Linux, one of them's this version of Unix, one of
Mm.
them's another Windows, that it's even harder. It's hardened Windows. And so
Yeah.
you really don't want to get familiar with just one operating system. You legit
Yeah,
like,
you learn Linux just so that way it's your toolkit that will be used to
exactly,
attack.
that's
But
just
you
your
also
tool.
need to understand Windows, because that's what you'll be attacking. But
Oh
you'll be
yeah,
using
exactly.
a
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah, and like, and a
Yeah.
lot of people use Windows and they use Kali as their VM. Doesn't matter. Just make sure you got the familiarity with everything. Just try to get knowledge
Both.
about everything, because when it
Yeah.
comes trying to break into some, when you're a penetration tester, you're not just gonna focus on, you're gonna focus on whatever they have.
And that's interesting that you're part of a team and you're still not in a security job yet. Like you
Uh,
actively have that, right?
yeah. Oh, which one? The OSCP?
You're part of a hacking team, right? You go on DevCon and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. And that's part of how you get in it also, and being in the security, um, in the hacking community, in the cybersecurity community, the best people, man, some of the best people are in the hacking competitions, and the categories are awesome. One of them's web penetration test, and one of them's web. So you have to know JavaScript, whatever kind of database they're using. Not only that, you have to know all the user agents also, because not necessarily know them, but like let's say you go to a website, everything's working fine. There's absolutely no vulnerability. But then guess what? If I jump in it with Internet Explorer 10, not Edge, I mean not 10, so I'll say 8. I jump into Internet Explorer 8.
Mhm.
Wow, all of a sudden there's a vulnerability because they didn't take
Mm,
to this legacy browser,
yeah,
so
yeah,
not
yeah.
only that, you got to change user agents and see how it changes the source code, or what happens to the site, or if something breaks when you try to buy at a cart and you're using Opera and it doesn't work in Opera but it works in Chrome. You're like, all right, let's go to Opera and see what's
Yeah.
going on. But it's a lot. Yeah, man, it's a lot.
So okay, so now that you're all that, what do you right now? What are you studying now?
Studying now, I'm studying CCNA,
Mhm.
getting that down. And then I'm just doing the competitions, but I'm focusing on reverse engineering and Pwn. And Pwn is just basically
Oh, so you're
project
still
management.
competing? That's great. That's good news, man.
Yeah, team's actually in first place, man. Open the wall.
Oh, okay. What
If
are you
I'm not
competing
mistaken,
on?
got out. Let's see. I gotta go to CTF time. I'm not on my Linux. I actually don't know which one's going on right now.
No, no, but like where? What platform?
What do you mean, like a platform? Like
Yeah, how are you getting rated on number like first, second, third? Like what's that about?
Oh, it's called CTF time, and that's basically the main site where you go to see where hacking events or competitions, both
Hmm.
are happening wherever. So like it'll show upcoming events, which is Volga CTF 2020 qualifier. So I don't know where it's being ran, but it's from March 27th to March 29th. So tomorrow that's gonna start, and we all log in Slack, we set up our channel for that, and then we just start competing. We start getting flags, and so there's different categories. There's crypto category, which 256
You guys
AES
compete
credit.
online or?
Yeah, compete online. And there's also, when it comes to DEF CON and big ones, uh we'll all show up there. So, and I'm not one of the top dogs with it, so I don't show up internationally. I just show up to the Las Vegas ones. So, but yeah, like it's what is it? Crypto, forensics, anything that has to do with security, is
You
the
guys go on it.
categories are there. Forensics, reverse engineering, crypto, web,
Well, that's great.
and that they say is one of the best ways to build up your actual skills to
You
actually.
didn't put that in your resume, man. When I looked over your resume, you don't have that on there.
No, I mean, half the people that I just had no idea, and then when I mentioned the word hacking, their eyes opened up a little bit and like looked at me weird, and I'm like, "Come on, guys,
Yeah, you do
we're
scare people sometimes, but that's how you filter, man. I mean, I guess what you're saying is right. Like, if you, depending on the job that you're looking for, is when you put it in and you don't. Because if you can easily become way overqualified. If you're just trying to find a job because you got to pay the bills, right? You
yeah,
recently got let
exactly,
go, paid, laid off, quit because the manager sucks or whatever. You just need a job now, and you put like all these stuff on there. But like, dude, like, get
yeah,
out of here. We're not
exactly."
hiring you.
Like if I need a job and I just need like a job, just go in and I'll apply to a food restaurant, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my Starbucks. I'm not gonna put,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put like
One time,
networking.
my cousin, I quit a job and I hated it. So I quit and I told my cousins, look, man, how you keep getting hired at these McDonald's jobs, bro? Because I'm trying to get a job like now. And then I've been unemployed for about a week and so whatever. And then it's like
Uh,
this was like 8 years ago maybe. And he was like, man, look, apply online. He was like, don't put that you're going to school. Just put you went to high school and you graduated. Have a simple resume, man. And then you hold on one second. He's like, and then once you apply, give it a day. Then you show up and you tell them with your resume, tell them, hey, I'm trying to find a job. I applied yesterday or a few days ago. And he was like, don't talk a lot. He's like, don't talk a lot. And don't tell them what you're trying to do or what you want to do. None of that, man. You just tell them, I want a job and I applied yesterday. And that's it. And I was like, all right. He was giving me instructions not to speak too much and not to show any interest of anything aside from just working. And I think that's one sad, and two that like you have to be coached on stuff like that sometimes because you can intimidate people, and that's what happens. Like I've been in jobs too, and I'm pretty sure that you've been in them, and you probably didn't even know you were in this position, but people treat you differently because they're intimidated by you, or you have all these aspirations trying to do something, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna put this person down more, or I'm not gonna encourage them. I might give them an opportunity because as soon as they come in, you elevate the standard. The standards.
Yeah.
I forgot where I talked about this, but like the standards set. So everyone, it's like if you, I should talk about it in this podcast a couple of days ago, was if you're a mechanic and you're changing oil, right?
Mm.
And I'm exaggerating, but correct me if I'm wrong on this, man. You help me out. But like if your standard is 45 minutes, do an oil change.
Okay.
Now, somebody comes in who's an aspiring mechanical engineer, and he wants to be an engineer developing like engines for like BMW or Mercedes, like something crazy, right?
Yeah.
And he goes in there, and his first job is at Jiffy Lube, and
Mm.
he is still going to school for his bachelor's degree, and he's super into like work, and he loves his car, like cars and all that. This person, he goes into a Jiffy Lube right now. He'll show up there and he'll knock out two cars in 15 minutes for oil changing, right? For exaggeration purposes. Everyone in that Jiffy Lube will be pissed off at him if it's a shitty led by a shitty manager,
Yeah.
because he now elevated the standard. Even his coworkers will always globally hate him if they're not trying to act, like aspire to do something else, because they're like, dude, like we're good with this 45-minute oil change. Why are you making us work harder? Like there's not a lot of cars coming in. The two that finally come in, and we're making it so that way it looks like we can do more. We're overstaffed, like we're understaffed by making it like longer to do the job. But this person comes in and knocks them out like that quick. So now everyone kind of looking at him like, nah. So when they manage to kind of deflect that on very low level jobs, and look at like a person applying to McDonald's, they're looking at a resume, and they watch this person speak. Man, listen to you speak, and to a person like at McDonald's or something, you can intimidate them big time, and you wouldn't even know it. You're just speaking, that speaks volumes because you think it's normal. Everything we're just talking about right now, the OSCP and all that stuff, that's very
It's all
specific.
normal for us. It's
Yeah,
all like,
and to me, I'm thinking I understand some of what you're saying, but I also understand that I have no idea what some of the stuff you're saying. Like completely, I'm like, this guy's a professional. What you study in your craft, you're very knowledgeable about security, penetration
yeah, everyone's like
testing.
specialty.
Yeah, and people look at you and listen to you right now. We're going to be listening to you, but man, this guy knows the stuff, right? And so you can easily walk into a job on accident talking a little bit too much, and they trigger you on some interests that you have, and then boom,
Mm.
all of a sudden, you lost that
Oh
job
yeah, that's
opportunity. You lost that
that's
job opportunity. You're done. You're like, yeah, nope, get out of here. Like you're gonna try to
yeah.
take my
I'd
job.
be talking sometimes. It just trigger me on like anything like hobbies, and then I think I'd bring up CTF hacking competitions because I'm like, this is related to IT. This is all that, and then I go off. I'm like, blah blah blah. This is awesome. They're like, they just look at me. Oh, okay.
We'll call
Okay.
you back.
Yeah, that was great. Awesome.
and,
Thank you for sharing that. That's what they say, and I'm like, cool, cool.
yeah, and they never call you back, and it's just like, all right, well,
Yeah, bro. And then
whatever.
when you show up and you're like super ambitious when you're first in IT, you're like, cool,
Mhm.
I'm finally in it. I'm finally touching a computer. I'm finally doing this. It's awesome. And then you're super ambitious, but half the time, like you said, I've ran into people that are like, bro, you're trying too hard. Nah, bro, they don't. I try to go into the IT department from DTT, like, from transfer. Now, I would be helping them write automating scripts that would help with the ticket system, that would help with this and that, and they're just all managers are just I'll bring
yeah,
it up, but they never do. And
yeah,
okay, one of them be like, bro, you're trying too hard, just kind of just get the check, work the tickets, you're good to go, bro.
like
I'm like,
relax,
easy.
relax.
And then I was like, what do I need to do to get into IT? He's like, bro, so many people try to get into that IT department, but no one ever takes anybody from here.
Yeah,
And I was like, for reals? And it's like, yeah, bro. It's like you might as well just quit and then apply again for IT department. So it's like those kind of things really bring you down. You're like, man, it really
yeah,
isn't like they like you seem it is, where it's you're just gonna be moving up or you're just gonna be trying harder and your effort pays off. It's just like it's really just half of the people are burnt out, don't care about the new ambition that's coming into the room, and that's like
Mhm.
trying to make things better and faster. They're like, all right, come on, bro, chill,
Yeah,
chill,
but
just
chill. We
check.
already got, yeah, we already got it going on. We already set up, and then that's sad, but at the same time, honestly, it's like whatever. I don't mind leaving. For me, I work my face off all the time, and then hey, look, okay, well, we don't do that here. We do this whatever. It's not beneficial for you to. Um, I'll try apply within and do like elevate, but if I'm getting blocks, I'm out the door. I quickly immediately look up an Indeed and set out applications. I don't mind leaving because this is my profession. You know what I mean? I take it very personally. So for
Got it.
me, like, I mean, you spend look at all those hours, the amount of money you spent. For you in the OSCP, it's a lot of money. Like every
Yeah.
time someone tells me you can't do it, you're not gonna make it, or no, this is above your situation, whatever. I'm like, dude, like I I didn't go out. I sacrificed my personal life. I sacrificed a lot of, you know what I mean? Like I
How many highlighters have you gone through, man?
yeah, man. Like, yeah,
Hundreds,
jeez, man.
hundreds, bro.
I have flashcards in my car. Like, what do you mean I'm not
Yeah,
like
the Netflix
qualified or I
movie's in
can't
my
do
car. I
this?
had to get it.
I'm like, what do you mean, man? Like, no, like, oh, well, you should just like chill, calm down. Like, what? Like, no, I'm not. Like, what do you mean? Like, and especially if it's like a leader telling me that, like, no, like, get out of my face. Like, no, man. Like clearly, like I'm in the wrong like the company or something, whatever, wrong
Yeah,
department or something like that. So I always steer away from people like that or advice like that or people like naysayers. Oh, you're never gonna do that. Like, oh, watch me, bro. So, but
give
no,
you that
that's
drive.
man, you got to, bro. It's your life. It's you want to be happy. Do the stuff that you like to do, and that's all. That's all I always say. Like, do what you like and do that 3 or 4 times
Exactly.
over. So
Exactly.
cool, man.
Because
Well, all right, man. Thanks for hopping on, bro. And one last thing. So I didn't want to talk about this. You volunteered today, right? You and your
helping out.
parents.
Yeah. I was basically just
Describe what you
helping them
did.
out and helping some other senior citizens when there was time for because they opened up a certain time in the groceries for the senior citizens. And
Mm-hmm.
so you just kind of run around, help them out, carry some stuff, like then help my mom, help my dad. My dad's on the other side of town. And then that's it. Stay 6 feet away from everybody, and just you see somebody cough,
Oh, really? Oh, okay, cool. So you're in
quick
the danger
cough,
zone then,
start
right?
running. Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow! So when they open as grocery stores and these elderly people walk in and you kind of like run around and carry the heavy stuff for them, put them in the cart and load it in the car. Is that what's
Yeah,
happening?
yeah. I was mostly just helping my mom and dad, but then you'd see everybody else, and everybody was kind of helping each other and stuff like that. So, and
Mm.
then you just make sure you take off your clothes, you get hosed down before you go in the house.
Really?
You take a shower. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't play around. Well, I don't play around with that. So I literally, yeah, took that off, and then I went inside, took a shower. That's it. I don't mess around. I don't mess around. Well, just because mostly, my dad's 70 something, my mom's 70 something.
Yeah. Well, what are they doing now?
Yeah, that's like half of the memes on Reddit is like us trying to keep our parents from going out.
Oh
So
man,
my mom's like,
damn.
want to go on a walk today? I'm like, a walk? Oh my god.
Yeah, that's crazy. But your parents are volunteering to help elderly people, and they themselves are coming up on age, and you're
Yeah,
helping
that's
them out
right.
to make sure that they're not in the danger area, right?
Exactly. And like she
Okay.
was gonna help with the census stuff with the primaries, but they
Oh
just called her
wow.
to cancel it.
Oh wow. So they're that's real great, man.
They got no
Yeah, I want to
primary.
throw that in there. I want to make sure that yeah, it comes full circle. You know what I mean? Do
Yeah.
nice things and contribute to your community. I'm locked down, so I'm 100% in here.
You're locked down. That's good. You're
Yeah.
contributing too, man. That's good. That's
Yeah.
what you're not
So
on spring break. Like,
yeah.
you're
Well, you know what's funny too? I had a meeting a few days ago. What we're doing SOX compliance, and one of the things we were talking about was like like it feels like a snow day for adults. Like everyone's just like there's no, you can't go to work, you can't go out. but like there's like massive serious consequences. So like the kids think it's a vacation. They're like, "Oh, this is great," in their PJs, and the
Oh
parents
yeah.
are and the parents are
Our
freaking
pets
out.
are going crazy, bro. Our pets are like, you chilling here all day? All
Yeah,
right.
and then the parents are
Yeah.
freaking out. They don't see the kids don't understand the severity of what's happening, right? So everyone's freaking out. Everyone's trying to make the best of it, crossing their fingers, hoping for the best. So we'll see. This is the first time I've ever experienced this. This is bigger than 9/11, right? Because
Sweet.
like catastrophic events occur, but they're it happened. It's like a spike. So it's like a
Mm.
big spike of an incident, and then it drops down. Right, it goes back to level right away, and that slowdown is like just like memorials and just kind of like that death, and it goes through some security policies, but life still goes on. There's still distractions. There's still all of that.
Yep.
Right now, there's nothing. Like everyone's like coronavirus. It's just
And
you know,
it, and that's
there's
what I
no
was
sports. There's no nothing, man.
That's what I was trying to think. Well, okay. I was trying to think. When was the last time society had no sports like that and all that? Like it was back way when they were just upholding society with work. Like right now, we're literally just upholding society. Like to me, a thriving society has sports entertainment, has, you're going to stadiums, you're doing this, you're doing that, you can go to concerts. Right now, all of that part of society just got knocked out, and we're back to the bare bones of just we're literally just holding up society with grocery stores, medical
Mhm.
industry, like gas stations, fuel, doing stuff like that. Like right now, we're just holding up society, and like we have our, like you said, distractions online and everything. But when was the last time we didn't have organized sports being displayed, not even on a TV, like actual, even in the news back in the day when baseball was going on before TV was made? I don't know. Like
Yeah, it's been a long
that's
time, but yeah,
yeah,
we
think
haven't
about it
had
now. I'm
yeah.
like, we are literally just upholding the structure of society, the infrastructure. We're just holding it up right now. Like
Mhm.
there's no thriving. We're not
And then
there's no
people say they're going working from home. Am I really like you should working from home? Like honestly, like because there's no traffic coming in. So what are you doing? Like even if you do like warehouse work as a like clerk or something, and you're
yeah.
like a manager that because I say this specifically because I did this. So I used to be a warehouse clerk. People come in and they load the cars, the trucks, and I tell them where to park. And my manager was the one handling the receiving loads, and
Mm,
there was receiving and exiting loads. So sometimes one or two managers do that. But I'm like, if there's no loads coming in, or there's a quarter of them coming in, there's not as
yeah.
many. So what else? Like I guess like gyms. Like, oh, I'm working from home. Like there's only so much work you can do.
Yeah,
Right. And then
and
and then that aspect it's done because there's no more progression of the organization. You literally can catch up. People say, oh, I'm like so busy. Like, yeah, well, you'll probably catch up in a week. Like a week of just 8 hour shifts of just doing the stuff that you've been delaying,
mm,
and you'll be done because there's no more work coming in. There's like everything stopped.
yeah.
So there's only so much we can do with remote work to justify that, and then at some point you have to just cut it off
And
and
it
just
might
like
just be, yeah, it's got to get cut off, or you gotta, or there's gonna be more remote work in the future, or less. But I think, like you
generate
said,
revenue at some point remotely, like Netflix. Netflix doesn't need their revenue comes in by literally people staying home.
yeah,
So you have to
exactly.
pivot. Like I think I saw Little Caesars. Little Caesars, they're doing no contact delivery. So if you
Oh,
don't pivot, yeah, oh yeah, that's what I said. My man, I'm gonna order some today. But
nice.
but that companies like that can pivot or that do pivot and figure out a way to generate revenue remotely, like we are. The arena they're doing online tournaments
Mm,
now. If companies don't do that and be innovative, then they'll fail if this continues. Right? It's not going to continue, but at the same time, it opens up some eyes. Can you be successful without people coming in? Because that's what eventually it's
exactly.
going to. Like the better, I did it this morning. I did my podcast on oversubscriptions. So oversubscription on internet services. So what that means is that during peak hours, or during certain hours of the day, you have a certain ratio of internet traffic. So you share a pipe pretty much. So Now it's because of the coronavirus. It's peak hours 7 days a week, and then weekends is a slight uptick, but may not even be that much of a slight uptick because we're just constant. Like, look what I'm doing right now. Normally at 5 o'clock, when we started at 4:30. Normally at 4:30, I wouldn't be doing this. I want to do a live stream and speaking with you. We'll be at work. Like, so majority of
Exactly.
the people in the apartments, they are at work between 8 to 6 o'clock. They don't get home until 6 or 5 o'clock. So those hours during internet for ISPs, they're suspecting to be low traffic time. So they allow more people to hop on a shared line, either fiber connection, coax, what have you, and you split the bandwidth, 10-to-1 ratio, 50-to-1 ratio, 100-to-1 ratio on gigabit connections and what have you. So there's like specific math that they follow. But now it's all going out the window because now everyone's using it. Everyone's on a voice conference at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, everyone's home, everyone's watching, everyone's streaming.
Yeah,
Like right now,
exactly.
so much data is being pushed. It's just like
Yeah.
it's a whole different. And the same thing with IT. I can't imagine. Like there are companies that I heard that they assigned 100 and some, 200 and something laptops all at once, so everybody could
Work from home.
work from home. But I'm like, yo, that's like I'm sure IT mentioned this before. I'm sure they're
I did.
and then now it's happening. It's like I can't do this in one day.
Yeah.
I gotta set up 200 laptops, whatever, have them sign a non-disclosure or whatever agreement, agreement on using these laptops and what you're supposed to do with them. Like you guys realize, like it was a big thing for IT. IT had to step up with so many companies that had to go in the
Well, there's like one of my buddies. I think he had to set up 80 something VPN connections individually, and then my other buddy here in Nevada, he's like driving to everyone's houses and setting them up.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he's still working, man. He's working long hours right now, setting everything up. So that's an unfortunate part, right? Because that could all be done remotely or proactively, like certain settings. That's why I always talk about policies in place, man. Because then I ain't trying to run around and do all kinds of stuff. And then I'm not going to have you guys do that just because everyone else is deciding to like, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, no, it is a big deal.
Us, and then now they're saying, no, you need to do it.
No, hell no, man. We're gonna chill. We'll relax. We're gonna get it when we get it done because I've been barking about this for about like whatever amount, and but at the same time, if you don't open your mouth and you can't say nothing, you gotta run around and do it. But but like I was talking to Palo Alto. And they were saying that everyone's trying to use VPN, but then no one's talking about the hardware capabilities and also your pipe coming in. So you can have a DSL line that's been great because everything's local and you want to save money on your monthly bill on that way. But now you have people all piping in to your internal file system locally on site, and then you're sharing a like 3 megabit per second line on a like little 300 series Fortinet. It's like it's impossible. What do you mean? Like you're gonna first of all you need $10,000 of hardware, and then you upgrade your internet, and you have to see whether or not the ISPs what the cap is in that area, right? Because some places in LA you can't get fiber. You just can't.
Exactly.
So
you're gonna spend the money for something as a service, whatever it is you need.
Or you pump it up to the cloud. Like, do we need to do a 2-day migration or overnight migration for this remote work? Like, it's a bunch of stuff that comes into play.
Like, you're gonna pay more money for hardware for this to soup up our system, or we're gonna go use somebody else's system and pay them. If you want things done that fast, then
Yeah, so it's crazy. There's a lot of stuff that come into just switching literally your whole operation, your whole design. It's a whole other design. Like, look, this thing wasn't designed to do what you're trying to do right now.
right now.
Yeah. So, but all right, man. Cool. We should have more talks and see if I'm gonna have Sean on a separate time. And then
we'll get more people into it at the same time. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna have both of you guys, and then you guys can actually bash me on how your experience as me being your manager and all that stuff. So I think that'll be real fun.
Bro. You walk around, you get respect. You walk around, you get respect.
Oh man! All right, cool. All right. Thanks, Rudy. I really appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, man, and let me know for next time.
Real quick before you hop off, what is your advice? Just a good generic advice for somebody who's trying to get into the OSCP, into security, what and they maybe have maybe they have like a year experience or they're brand new, like what's a good generic piece of advice that helped you get through what you've been through now?
Okay, so when it comes to information based, like knowing something, basic
Just general
network,
advice, man. Whatever.
basic
Whatever.
security, and then
Mhm.
basic scripting. Like you don't have to go, they'll teach you low level like memory management with assembly and C, but just know basic scripting. Be familiar with the infrastructure of like networking. Be familiar with like what's in security plus, network plus, security plus. Um, it'll be great. Actually, it's pretty essential to be familiar with Linux. That's for sure. Be familiar with Linux. You don't have to be a master. You don't have to have it for years. Just be familiar with it. And from there, their videos and their course will get you through a lot of it. But a lot, be prepared to put in a lot of individual effort. Be prepared to just be completely practical. They will tell you stuff that you have no idea about, and they'll only go slightly into it because they expect you get in it, learn it, hack, like actually Google it, start reading
So it takes
articles
a
of
lot of
what's
initiative.
going on. Yeah, a lot of
Mhm.
initiative. Keep that initiative going, but it's totally worth it because the stuff you're gonna get out of it, you're just gonna brag about it. Like you're gonna be like how awesome it is. Like it's just a whole from security plus to OSCP. It's not even the same building.
Mhm.
It's just like you'll actually get your hands on what a penetration tester does. And I think that's why so many people are hyped about it because they actually gave me the simulation of, bro, this is how you do it. This is it. You got to write this report. And I had to Google how to write proper reports, stuff like that. And the back end of it, just not hacking, how to actually, you need at least 7 lawyers before you go into a penetration test because if you reach into one folder you shouldn't, guess what? It's coming down on you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
so
lot of law
and they
involved,
teach you
right?
a lot
Yeah.
of stuff, the
Yeah.
the the legality of it too. So, but that's
Mhm.
it. Just be ambitious about it. Have a little fundamentals in networking, security, and scripting, and you just dive right in. Just dive right in, get in it.
Cool, man. Cool, cool. So hopefully we'll do this again. Again, I really appreciate your time, man, and be safe out there.
Yeah, you too, man. Be safe. Let me know next time. I'll be down.
All right, man. See
All
ya.
right, man. Have a good one. All right, bye.
All right, you guys. Cool. So that was um, Rudy. He's one of the technicians at the HyperX Arena, um, and I I really wanted to have him on with talking about the OSCP and things like that because that is a very sought after certification. And you can tell from him, he's very knowledgeable, super passionate about security. And, he's just like opened up. It's like once it started, it was like drag a little bit in the beginning where he was like, all right, this kind of history of stuff. And as soon as I started talking about, okay, like get into security, like what do you do and all that, I started talking about all kinds of stuff, right? Just opened up on knowledge and just like wants to talk for a long time about it. So that's what you need. If you don't, man, if you're working on a server certification, but you're kind of just like, and people ask you about it, you're like, yeah, it's just something I'm doing. But and they ask you about like PC hardware, and you just like talk about it all the time, man, you need to drop that server stuff and work on hardware, like everything hardware, whatever it is that opens up your curiosity and passion, because there's a lot of hours that it takes for the any high level certification, and you take the low level stuff to spark that interest. But the higher up you go, the more hours it takes, more commitment it takes. And just like everything else, dedication. You can't be a pro basketball player, even at a low level. Still, they train hours, very low level. Uh, it's just like It's just like to be a professional, someone who you want to get paid a lot of money, but you need to make sure you're at that level to get justify the pay. So the certifications to get you that level aren't um, half-ass certifications. They're not. They're very difficult. So I really wanted to show that with him, with OSCP, and pretty much went from, look, I didn't even know that when I didn't even care that I didn't even ask him about high school. I don't care about that. But he dropped out. He dropped out, got his GED, then went and some like regular jobs, kind of just going through life and figuring it out, going through experiences, and he kind of just like, it was okay with the paycheck, and all of a sudden he was just like, I want a career. Like, what am I doing? And then boom, like back to his that old like ex girlfriend or girlfriend that always there, hung out, and you never wanted to commit to, right? And that's what it sounded like to me. And then he went back to that, back to the core, what he found, and but the interest that he found, it wasn't told, hey, this is just cool, hang out and do it. And he's like, oh, this is all right, cool, man, hang out, do it. No, it's something that he found himself and researched, committed to it, and then boom, now he's working with me at the HyperX Arena, and then I hired him because of that, because of how curious he is, how he's an expert in his craft, and I don't think he realizes how good he is. Right? He's really, really good. I think that in a few years it was just like, a skyrocket. Right? Those are the things are. It goes like real, just like for me, it was like very like just a little bit, and for me, I think the same thing with him. I think eventually all that hard work just pays off. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And if you didn't, you kind of catching on in the end. I'll be uploading this onto my YouTube channel, the itblog.info, the IT, and then space.info together, lowercase. So check that out. I think it'll be real cool for like just formal reference and stuff. And I'm really excited. So what I'm gonna have is Sean, the other technician that I hired. I'm gonna have him come on and his experiences with the A plus certification and his story on how he got to his first IT job, which is the official one that I brought him in. So he's another great guy, really smart, intelligent individual. So cool. Really appreciate the time. So catch you guys next time. Peace.